My friends, while coffee was being served on marble tables in Doha, concrete mines were being laid in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran did not go to Qatar to negotiate peace. It went to prepare a geopolitical trap under the cover of an illusory ceasefire. While Iranian diplomats smiled for the cameras, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy operated in the absolute darkness of the sea. They believed that the Doha Protocol was their diplomatic shield, but they didn't know that every mine they deployed was being catalogued in real time by the United States underwater acoustic sensors. Yes, so CENTCOM wasn't just watching, they were mapping the geometry of destruction. Understand the technical gravity here. These contact mines aren't just floating explosives, they're engineered for area denial. They work through a chemical trigger that's sensitive to pressure and magnetism. When the hull of a tanker gets close, the distortion in the water's magnetic field activates the detonator. Chemically, these mines use a stabilized mixture of TNT and RDX to withstand saltwater corrosion for years. Iran was planting these mines in the most remote and vital routes on the globe at the oil choke points. But the American response wasn't a warning, it was a demonstration that impunity has an immediate price. Hormuz is the planet's jugular. If the energy flow stops there, the global system collapses. And Iran tried to cut that jugular while shaking hands with the world. They miscalculated, and the price of that mistake was paid with twisted metal at the bottom of the ocean. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and like the video. It takes a lot of work to make, my friends, because Bandar Abbas is not just a port, it's a fortress of extortion located at the narrowest point of the Strait of Hormuz. This city is the capital of Hormuzgan province. It's the nerve center of the Hormuz mafia. Geographically, Iran should control only 24 kilometers of its coast. However, they hold the world hostage by claiming ownership over the entire 38-kilometer wide checkpoint. And this is where the regime hides its missile cities, underground bases dug deep into solid rock, designed to withstand airstrikes and conceal entire fleets of fast attack boats. Bandar Abbas is home to two distinct navies, the conventional navy and the Revolutionary Guard Navy. The Guard's navy does not answer to the government in Tehran, they report directly to the supreme leader. They are the wander bosses who operate with impunity, and the engineering of these boats is what Iran calls its cheat code. We're talking about 12-ton vessels like the Picap and Zulfikar class, powered by twin 2,400 horsepower diesel engines. They reach 96 kilometers per hour, but the technical detail that really matters is the draft, only 70 centimeters. This allows them to operate in water so shallow that an American destroyer would run aground trying to chase them. On a daily basis, the Revolutionary Guard camouflages these boats using fishing nets to make them look like civilian vessels, a classic maritime guerrilla tactic. They attack in swarms, using hydrodynamics to their advantage to disappear among reefs and coves. However, for an MQ-9 Reaper drone or a 5th-generation fighter jet, a boat in shallow waters is just a target with less room to maneuver. The 2,400 horsepower engine is useless against signal intelligence that tracks the heat and electronic signature of these engines even before they leave the pier. Bandar Abbas is the crown jewel, and last night, my friends, CENTCOM proved that no underground fortress is deep enough when precision technology decides to come into play. And my friends, Trump's patience ran out. Last Monday night, the physics of destruction was applied without remorse. CENTCOM launched a coordinated attack package that turned the strait into a testing ground for air supremacy. The technical highlight was the use of the AGM-154 JSO, the AGM-154 JSO. The JSO is not an ordinary missile. It doesn't have an engine. It's a glide munition that uses folding wings and gravity to travel silently for up to 112 kilometers. This allows the F-18 Super Hornet fighter jet to fire the munition far away from any Iranian air defense system. The pilot remains safe while the bomb glides on an absolutely precise trajectory, guided by a differential GPS system that prevents any attempt at Iranian electronic interference. Understand the logic behind this weapon. Unlike a cruise missile that emits heat through its turbine, the JSO flies without a heat signature. It is a thermal ghost. In practice, the enemy only notices the attack when the bunker ceiling caves in. And yesterday, the JSO munitions fell vertically onto the docks of Surik and Jask, hitting boats that were in the middle of the mine loading process. From here, we only hear the screams of the Ayatollahs. The geometry of the attack was designed to annihilate offensive capability without destroying the surrounding civilian infrastructure. In addition to the JSOs, 907-kilogram GBU-31 bombs were used to collapse tunnel entrances, and the 113-kilogram GBU-39 was used for moving targets. The use of Reimer's rockets, possibly positioned on naval vessels or Allied ground in the United Arab Emirates, brought an extra layer of lethality. These rockets travel at Mach 3 and there is no reaction time, there is no warning sound, only the impact. Iran built what it thought was an A2AD bubble, but CENTCOM used physics and geometry to burst that bubble in a matter of seconds. And here we enter the frequency duel where the war is won before the first shot is fired. Iran relied on its Bavar 373 system, claiming it could detect stealth aircraft. They didn't understand the engineering behind suppression. The EA-18 Growler is a monster of electronic warfare. It uses ALQ-99 jamming pods to flood the radio spectrum with white noise, creating ghosts on enemy radar. The Bavar radar operator thinks he's seeing 50 targets where there are none. Or worse, he sees nothing while the sky is full of metal. The Growler forces the enemy into an impossible choice. Either they turn off the radar and go blind, or they increase the power to try to break through the jamming. And by doing that, it's like turning on a flashlight in a dark room where the F-35 is the hunter. My friends, the F-35 Lightning II uses the AN/APG-81 AESA radar, which fuses heat, radio, and image data to create a 3D map of the battlefield. The fascinating secret here is frequency hopping. The F-35's radar changes frequency thousands of times per second, making it impossible for Iran to lock onto the target or jam the signal. It doesn't just see the enemy, it understands the digital signature of every defense system. The moment the Bavar 373 radar emits a signal, the F-35 instantly shares that coordinate with the AGM-88 HARM missiles. These missiles have a passive seeker that locks onto the enemy radar's own emission. The Iranian operator turns on the system, and 2 seconds later, boom! The missile travels along the radar beam and explodes inside the control cabin. It's the technological humiliation of the Hormuz mafia. The F-35 operates like the conductor of an orchestra of destruction, fusing sensors and weapons into a single network. While Iran was trying to reconnect the internet to control its people, the United States was shutting down the regime's eyes in the strait. Now look at the money. Because this is where geopolitics hits your wallet. Have you ever wondered why London seems so indifferent to the escalating violence in Hormuz? The answer lies in ICE, the Intercontinental Exchange, and Brent crude. London is the global market for Brent crude. That's where the price of a barrel is set and traded. Every barrel of uncertainty in the Strait of Hormuz is a fee that flows to the London exchanges. When Iran plants a mine, the war risk premium goes up instantly. Maritime insurance, controlled by giants like Lloyd's of London, can go up 400 in a single hour after an attack. London doesn't need to fire a single shot to profit from the war. They operate on the edge of fear. Understand how the gears work. Lloyd's of London has war committees that meet in closed rooms to decide how much more you'll pay for shipping. Each explosion in Hormuz is a partial dividend, that one in British pounds. There's a direct connection between the fire in Bandar Abbas and the price you pay at the gas station in Brazil. Higher insurance and shipping costs in London raise the price of diesel arriving at the port of Santos. The global financial system profits from volatility, and for London's infrastructure, a ceasefire is less profitable than a controlled crisis. They play both sides, profiting on the way up with attacks and on the way down with diplomacy. While you're worrying about world peace, the offices in London are adjusting trading algorithms to extract the maximum value from chaos. It's a cold machine that turns blood in the water into banking liquidity. That's how the world works. And while Iran was trying to understand how its defense failed, Russia decided to raise the stakes. On May 19th, without prior warning, Moscow launched the largest exercise. Nuclear in years, mobilizing 65,000 men and 200 missile launchers. They fired the Arkik BM and the Senava Salembi. And the objective? To apply the concept of escalate to de-escalate. Russia is telling the world that if the Iranian regime collapses, the whole board could be flipped. They carried out what we call an escalation involving nuclear warheads, with Belarus sending a clear signal to NATO. It's a show of brute force to protect a strategic ally that provides drones and support in Ukraine. But look at the contrast. Russia sends a nuclear signal and Iran turned the internet back on. What Tehran is trying to hide from its own people while its bases are burning. They turned the network back on after 87 days of darkness to manage the uprising. They need to flood the digital space with propaganda to prevent the population from realizing that the regime is losing control. That's $500 million being lost per day, my friends. Inflation is destroying the lives of 90 million Iranians. The regime is on its last legs, trying to balance the Russian nuclear threat with internal hunger. The board is on fire and the pieces are being moved by desperate hands. Iran believed that the Doha Protocol was its shield. They didn't know that every mine deployed was being cataloged in real time by US acoustic and underwater sensors. The truth is non-negotiable. The world is changing too fast for you to keep relying on sources that are paid to keep you in the dark. In a world of digital blackouts and state propaganda, independent information is your only shield. And if you understood what happened today, the connection between the F-35 and Hormuz, the profit in London, and the nuclear signal in Moscow, you're already ahead of 99% of the population who only consume empty headlines. The system is cracking. And if you want the unfiltered truth, join our exclusive platform. We are already more than 3,000 elite analysts, and there we expose the machinery that drives power, unfiltered. Well, the QR code is on the screen now, and the link is in the description and in the first pinned comment. Come to our uncensored platform where a single stroke of the pen can't take us off the air. And we've also created our series and movies channel with fantastic tips for you to enjoy with your family on the weekend. A good movie, a good series, without woke culture, without whining. And if there is any, we'll already give you a warning so you know what that content is about. My friends, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, leave a like on the video, and the link to our series and movies channel is here in the description, in the pinned comment, and in the card. Now it's time for you to shield your mind. Yes, shield your mind. I am Shimon Oliveira, and I'll see you in the next video. See you then.